Well
I don't have a
pronounced.
view on every issue. I mean, I'm not running for office, so I don't have a view on every single issue. It's really not my focus on my show, and I happen to.
Millions of people recognize Laura Ingraham as one of the most outspoken and brave people on Fox News. She is bright, sure of herself, and rarely backs down from a fight on TV. It's almost like she's made of steel. Every night she shares her thoughts with such confidence that there is little room for doubt. But what most people don't know is that the woman behind that pristine desk has been through a lot of times that were anything but controlled. Her life has taken turns that even her biggest fans may not know about. She has had significant health problems, lost loved ones, had profound family conflicts, and been involved in scandals that lasted for years. And if you look closely, you can tell that the tale behind the character is not just convoluted, but also painful. It's the kind of story that changes a person from the inside out in certain ways. What really happened to Laura Ingraham? How did someone who looks so strong on TV wind up having so many private problems? Laura Ingraham is a well-known conservative pundit and anchor of the Ingraham Angle. She is known for her voice and influence, but also for how much of her personal life is kept secret from her job. And here's something most people don't think about. Before the fame, the primetime limelight, the loyalty and the backlash, Laura got a terrible illness that made her face something that no amount of political debate could out-talk. Something that didn't care who she was, what she believed, or how strong she sounded on TV. Laura was just 41 years old when she was diagnosed with early-stage invasive ductal carcinoma in April. This is one of the most prevalent but also potentially dangerous types of breast cancer. It wasn't found until weeks of symptoms or a big emergency. It was discovered during a normal physical exam, the kind that people think will be normal. There was a bump in her doctor's hand. A little bit of time, just one easy touch, and all of a sudden, everything seemed strange. The scary thing about cancer is that it may come on suddenly, like a robber in the night, and take away your sense of safety in only a few seconds. That diagnosis wasn't only medical news for Laura, it was a hard stop, a break from life. A reminder that something you can't see can stop even the loudest shout. Laura would later comment that she doesn't like the word survivor. She likes thriver more. That one word shows how she fought back mentally. She didn't want people to think she was weak. She didn't want the sickness to change who she was. She has talked about the experience in ways that are almost startling, including calling it an adventure that made things clearer. Not because it was easy or scary, but because it made her look at her life in a new way. When you suddenly realize that you could die, you stop wasting energy on things that don't important. This was the time for Laura, who had built a career on power and control, to face what she couldn't control. But by October 2005, she had finished her last radiation session. Most individuals would still be resting, getting their strength back, and healing. But Laura did something that even her fans were astonished by. She went back to work, putting her body and intellect back in the public eye. By early 2006, she was reporting from Baghdad, her hair slowly growing back. It was as if she was trying to prove something, not just to the world but also to herself. Later, Laura said she doesn't like to think about her cancer experience too much. She didn't want it to define who she was or get in the way of her roles as a broadcaster and prospective mother. And she was clear, she didn't want pity. Some people talk about what they went through all the time after they survived something that could have killed them. Some people store it up like a book they never want to read again. It looked like Laura was in that second group. She said that a lot of people who have survived cancer just want to go on. They don't want to be called the person who had cancer. They want to get back to normal life, not stay stuck in the worst period of their past. Still, she didn't say that support didn't matter. She got better because to her faith, family, and friends. Laura has said that prayer, support from friends all over the country, and being close to her inner group have all helped her. When someone has cancer, even the tiniest gestures of compassion can mean a lot. A text, a letter, a call, a buddy who comes to see you when you don't have the strength to be brave. Laura has said that losing her mother was one of the hardest things she's ever had to deal with. When you lose your mother, it might impact how safe you feel. The individual who used to be home is now gone. So when Laura had to fight cancer later, it wasn't just about staying alive. It was about staying alive while dealing with loss, memory, and terror all at the same time. Laura's mother, Anne Caroline Ingraham, died of lung cancer in 1999, 6 years before Laura was diagnosed with breast cancer, and the timing made it even harder. Laura was working on her career, figuring out who she was and where she fit in the world. She had to learn a new way of being an adult after her mother died. It forced her to face the fact that being successful doesn't keep you from feeling pain. That desire doesn't stop bad things from happening. She has said that the loss changed how she thought about resilience, family, and faith, things that would later become very important to how she lived her life. Laura once said that watching her mother fight a terminal illness was harder than dealing with her own cancer later, and that conveys everything there is to know about love. Fear is what you feel when you're sick, but when someone you love is sick, you feel like you can't do anything. You can't switch places with them. You can't make their anguish go away. You can only look. Laura has remarked that losing her mother showed her how fragile life is, how quickly things can change, and how vital it is to value people while they are still here. She also said that it was meaningful and heartbreaking that her mother died before Laura's own health scare. She somehow felt that she was spared the sorrow of seeing her mother suffer. Laura often talks about how her mother shaped her principles, such as honesty, being thrifty, being disciplined, having a sense of humor, and working hard. Those weren't just nice traits, they were strategies for staying alive. When Laura became a mother herself, those principles became the basis for how she raised her kids. Laura has talked about happy recollections in interviews, such as her mother's laughter, her practical advice, and even little things like hilarious greeting cards that made her feel better long after she died. Curtis, an out gay teacher in California, has strongly criticized Laura's traditional language. He said she was encouraging division and hypocrisy. When conflict becomes political, it gets louder. It gets tougher to fix. It changes from "we disagree" to "you're wrong as a person." Curtis called his sister a monster in an interview in 2018, saying she was ready to destroy instead of listen. That's not just criticism, that's anger against someone. He also said that their upbringing was difficult, saying that their father was aggressive and held extreme views. Curtis thought that this setting might have had an effect on the rage he sees in Laura now. People may or may not believe Curtis, but the fact that he said it in public demonstrates how bad the relationship got. Curtis has labeled himself a fact-checker for Laura's posts on Twitter many times, telling advertisers to stop sponsoring her. He has criticized immigration, gun violence, and problems with public health. He even made fun of her for criticizing Dr. Anthony Fauci during the COVID-19 coverage. And when that kind of fight goes public, it's almost impossible to fix. Now it's not only between two people anymore, it's between two people and an audience. It wasn't always as horrible, which is surprising. Laura said in a 1997 Washington Post column that she had changed her mind on homosexuality after seeing how brave her brother and his partner were when they found out they had AIDS. That moment made me feel sorry for him. It indicated development. Curtis later said that as Laura's career went on, she moved more to the right and left behind those prior ideas. Aside from family strife, Laura has also gotten a lot of hate from the public. In 2025, she caused a lot of anger when she said that younger Americans, especially Gen Z, were putting off marriage and having kids. During the episode, she used polling data to prove that marriage and having kids were not as important to Gen Z as other life goals. Laura asked why these customary milestones didn't seem as important to younger people. She put her worries in the context of bigger changes in society, saying that lower rates of marriage and birth could have big effects on society. Critics, on the other hand, were quick to point out what seemed to be a contradiction. Laura has never talked about her sexual relationships, but she is open about becoming a mother. She adopted her first kid, a girl called Maria Caroline, from Guatemala in 2008, when Maria was just 3 years old. She later adopted 2 baby boys from Russia, Michael Dmitry in 2009 and Nikolai Peter in 2011. Laura was already a well-known figure in the media when she made these decisions, which made being a mother much harder. Laura has said that adoption is a calling based on compassion and that it should always be about the well-being of children, not politics. She remarked that kids should never be seen as things or symbols. Laura has said that she knew about the problems that come with adoption. A lot of countries don't let single parents live there. Some birth mothers want their children to live with 2 parents. The paperwork sometimes seems like it will never stop. She said the process was so complicated that she can't even recall all of the steps. But she says that adoption should always be about the well-being of the children, not politics or ideology. She has also said that being a single mother is the toughest thing she has ever done, because parenting never stops. even whether you are exhausted, unwell, or stressed. She is strict and makes sure to spend time with her children on purpose. She keeps her kids out of the spotlight and has said that every night each youngster recounts something good that happened to them that day. It's a tiny routine, but rituals help kids feel safe emotionally, especially adopted kids who may have had a lot of turmoil in their early years. She has also been stringent about technology, not letting her kids use smartphones until they are in high school, and pushing for flip phones initially for safety. Laura has a history of dating, even though she never got married. She doesn't talk about it much in public. For decades, she has been conservative and kept her private life very private. Laura was also related to leftist broadcaster Keith Olbermann in the late 1990s. This astonished many people because they had different political views. There were also rumors that she was linked to Robert Torricelli, a former Democratic senator. None of these were substantiated in detail, but they made people more interested in her personal life. People try to fill in the blanks with guesses when someone is more private. In 2005, she got engaged to businessman James V. Reyes, whom she met on a blind date. This was the most public part of her dating life. The pair was going to get married in the spring of that year, but suddenly cancer came and everything altered overnight. She started to think more about staying alive, getting therapy, and getting better. The engagement was over. After that, Laura didn't try to get married again. Instead, she chose to grow her family through adoption. From then on, becoming a mother was the most important thing in her life. She worked hard to raise her kids while also having a busy public career. She has remarked that her family and job make her happy enough that she doesn't need to get married. Some detractors say she contradicts herself when she talks about traditional family values because of that one phrase. But it also shows something else. Laura's life doesn't fit into one easy story, which is what real people do. Her schedule was still very busy. She had to do TV, radio, writing, and public appearances every night. With 3 kids at home, that kind of regularity doesn't leave much room for long-term partnerships. Her freedom became a part of who she was over time, not just in politics, but in life. But even being independent doesn't keep someone safe from public scandal, especially in today's media. Laura has been heavily criticized in her professional life for making comments about demographic shifts that some people claim sound like the Great Replacement story. Supporters say that she is worried about immigration policy and cultural change. Critics say that the way she frames things makes people afraid and shows radical language. And once your name is attached to a problematic notion, it sticks with you no matter how you try to justify it. Critics say that the Great Replacement theory is a far-right conspiracy based on white nationalist ideas that says immigration and demographic change are replacing white populations. People who don't like Laura say that her vocabulary and framing are similar to portions of that story, even if she doesn't use the word directly. And on TV, anger spreads quickly. It makes the news, tweets, and clips that last longer than the initial broadcast. That's how arguments don't go away, they grow. One of the worst things that happened to Laura in her career was when she made fun of Parkland survivor David Hogg on Twitter in 2018. Hogg, a teenager who had been through a school shooting, became a national campaigner for gun reform. Many others thought Laura's comment about his college rejections was cruel and not needed. The reaction came right away, and it hurt her where media stars often feel it most. With advertising, Hogg told his followers to get in touch with businesses that advertised on the Ingraham angle. In just a few days, big corporations took down their ads. Laura said she was sorry in front of everyone. But critics said the apology only came after there were financial ramifications. It didn't matter if they were sorry or not, the damage was done since public memory doesn't easily reset. At the time, reports said that hundreds of sponsors dropped out, and the show's advertising changed throughout the boycott. It reminded Laura that in today's media, public criticism isn't only noisy, it can also have a big impact on the economy. And it also highlighted how one tweet may start a national reaction that gets out of hand. Then, in 2019, there was another scandal when a graphic on her show showed problematic people, including a known terrorist. Some people thought that the episode defended or made an extreme seem normal. Fox News said the point was to bring up worries about censorship, not to support such people. But perception was the story again, and headlines don't often show the whole picture. Then, in February 2018, Laura told LeBron James to shut up and dribble when he made fun of political leaders. This went viral. People didn't see her comment as just sports talk. A lot of people thought it was disrespectful, especially towards black athletes who talked about social issues. There was a quick and widespread outcry. Laura said that athletes should stick to their jobs. Critics said that everyone, even athletes, has the right to talk about politics and unfairness. LeBron James spoke out in public, refusing to keep quiet and stressing how he has affected more than just basketball. The talk spread across the country. Who gets to speak, who is respected, and who is ignored. At this time, her tale was no longer just about politics. It was about fighting all the time, from every direction. So now you know the whole story about Laura Ingraham. She had cancer, lost her mother, had a traumatic family fight, and then there were public boycotts and scandals that followed her for years. But the question is, which portion of Laura's biography startled you the most? The health problems, the family problems, or the job scandals? Leave your opinions in the comments. If you like this analysis, please like the video, subscribe for more deep dives, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss the next story. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.